Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Welcome back to another episode on Beyond the Touchline. This is the pre-game week show for game week 19. This will mark the halfway point of the Premier League season, and after that, they'll wrap up the Premier League for 2024 as we move into 2025 with game week 20. But yeah, again, of course, thank you very much for the support over the course of these couple of videos. And of course, drop a like if you guys are enjoying, and of course, subscribe if you're new around here. And of course, get discussing in the comments down below how you think this week will go. But yeah, let's jump right in for my predictions. And yes, let's go. So of course, a quick recap of the Premier League table. Liverpool are on top of the Premier League. Arsenal, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest are behind following pursuit. Newcastle doing really well together with Bournemouth, both on 29 points. City are still having a torrid season. Fulham are up there. Villa inconsistent. Brighton, Brentford hovering around the midfield spots there. Tottenham terrible. West Ham not too sure, a bit iffy. Man United also equally horrible. Everton getting draws as of late. Palace still not too bad. Wolves starting to pick up some level of form. Not sure if that will continue. And as for the bottom three, obviously Southampton, things could change over there. Ipswich are still trying their best. And Leicester, again, I don't really know where they stand. As for these statistics, of course, Salah scored last game week, putting up 16 goals. Haaland has not scored in pretty long now, so 13. Palmer with 12, he scored. Isak also scored, so 11. And Mbeumo with 10. Wood also on 10. And of course, Cunha with his goal last week also puts him up at 10. As for the assists, no changes in the top 5. Now, as for the games this week, we've got 10 games as always. Starting off with Leicester City, followed that up by Everton and Forest. Then we've got Palace, Southampton, Tottenham, Wolves, Fulham, Bournemouth, West Ham, Liverpool, Ipswich, Chelsea, Villa, Brighton, Man United, Newcastle, and last but not least, Brentford and Arsenal. So 10 games. Let's jump into each one of them. Right, to start things off, Leicester and Man City. Again, the first game is slightly earlier game than the rest. But again, you know, I've now, you know, as a fan, I've gone through, this will be my third game where it's the first game of the weekend. And, you know, you just hope for a little bit more positivity, and you just hope that City will be able to pick up a win. And I've been as positive as I can really over the past couple of game weeks to just say that City will get a win in half the time, or not half the time anymore, but pretty much all the time I've been proven wrong. And I just want to be apprehensive again on this one. The trend has always been that, you know, they're able to start the games off lively, but they're not able to convert that into wins, and yeah, they'll just concede somehow or just shambolic after that. And as for Leicester, you know, being up and down, and as I said, you know, before City on a relegation form, Leicester are like the closest competitors at this point, you know, considering the form that the both clubs are having. Rude, I think the impact just hasn't been there just yet. Not too sure if it's got to do with the team or if it's, you know, got to do with just how the club is, you know, being like that. You know, there's the lack of quality that is within the club. It's going to be very difficult for Leicester to move forward and you know, be a lot more competitive in games. I think they might be competitive in this one. Woohoo! So I'm not going to give a good result for City, to be honest. I'll be apprehensive on this one. I think it might be a 1-1 draw. Another drop points again from City. Is this a time where they just hope that 2024 would end and that's it really, and move into 2025 afresh? I don't know. But maybe, you know, me predicting on the drop points, I might just pick up a win. Obviously, within me, you know, I want City to win, but I mean, realistically speaking, at this point in time, it looks like it's harder for them to pick up 3 points than anything, considering, you know, how the players have been performing. So, yeah, I'm just going to put 1-1 draw as it is, really. We'll see what happens with that game. Right, Everton and Nottingham. Now, this one will be very interesting. I mean, Everton on the back of 3 draws. And, you know, Everton would be pretty pleased coming to this one again to try to replicate that sort of energy, that sort of game plan, you know. A very defensive Sean Dyche, obviously. As for Forest, you know, they want to come in and will try to win games, you know, and they've shown that they can do it, you know, against the run of play, for example. They've been showing that they're able to still eke out results. They've shown that they're able to control games. I think this would be a very, very interesting game, in my opinion. Don't forget, these two sides were battling last year, you know, for relegation. They were trying their best to not get relegated, these both teams, and now, you know, the landscape is different. You know, one team is still struggling down there, obviously, and the other is you know, hoping to climb into Champions League spots. So, I mean, the state of both clubs are currently different. The landscape is has obviously changed, and I think the play style as well has diverted essentially for both of them. I think for this one at least, I think Nottingham are going to do whatever they can to get the win, obviously, and they want to bring in a level of confidence, and they want to bring in a level of you know, playing style and a level of ability that they know that's within themselves to win games. And I do see it, to be honest. And as for Everton, I just don't think they're able to contain Nottingham Forest for this long. And if they're able to, again, like how they've done in the past 3 games, and props to them, but to do that 4 in a row, I think that will be, again, ultimately another challenge. And Nottingham Forest is another game altogether, another team, another ball game altogether. And you know, I just don't think Everton are going to be able to continue that. For me, it's a 3-0 win for Nottingham. Maybe, you know, I think predicting that sort of result would seem a bit too much, considering the fact that, you know, one can probably still argue that, you know, Everton probably would stand a fight to minimise the number of goals, you know, being conceded. But maybe I just have a little bit more confidence now in Nottingham Forest for them to eke out a result. And we'll see what happens, really. But for me, at least, I think 3-0. Right, Palace and Southampton. Now, as I said, you know, if I look at last game, Southampton were really, you know, up there against West Ham. I felt like they had the opportunity to score goals. They had the opportunity to do something in that game, you know, to have an impact whatsoever, to change the state of the game. And if Juric is able to do the same again in this game against Palace, I think it will be very far for them. Again, you know, despite, you know, the points gap being quite immense, but it's still, I think, a game where, you know, they will want to try to win. It's arguably a rival, the relegation rival, I guess, you know, in terms of that, you know, final few places in the Premier League. So Southampton want to come in with a little bit more confidence, with a little bit more intent. And I think Juric will want to ensure that, you know, he instills this sort of mindset in the players. And as for Glasner and Palace, I mean, yes, as of late, I think they've been really good. And, you know, Glasner will want the club to continue that sort of trajectory. I think to get a 0-0 draw against Bournemouth in their eyes wasn't too bad either, you know, considering the back of 2 Arsenal defeats, especially the 5-1 was a lot heavier for them. I think Palace will want to come into this game and be a little bit more positive. We want to have an approach where, you know, again, really competitive and try to get a win. But I think this is one that I'm going to predict a shock result. I'm going to say it's going to be 2-1 Southampton. I think if, you know, Southampton are able to do what they did against West Ham, less the result, it's looking good to me that they stand a chance of potentially serving an upset here. I think that sort of makes Southampton a little bit unpredictable as of now. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe Southampton just had a good game last time out and now it's just back to square again. But who knows, right? I mean, it's football. Things have gone crazy already this season. The season has shown a lot of upsets left, right and centre. Maybe just could be a game where we could see a change, you know, and maybe an upset could happen. So, I mean, it's a prediction nonetheless. But of course, I think ultimately, if Southampton did perform well in the last game, I would say Palace would have gotten a win. So a bit of recency bias in this one, but I think also looking forward that maybe Juric is able to put something into the team and hopefully allow them to get a result. So that's my take on that. Right, Tottenham Wolves again, another inconsistent team as always, Tottenham. And as for Wolves, I mean, they've gone 2 wins on the bounce now and they will want to continue that form. How would this game go? Honestly, I don't know. It's going to be hard to tell how it's going to go. And I think confidence maybe on Wolves' side, but again, quality-wise on Tottenham's side. Are Tottenham going to get a win? I don't think so. Wolves going to get a win? I don't think so. I've just put it at stalemate, honestly. A 0-0 draw, a goalless draw for this one there. I don't know where it's going to go, and then I think it's going to be really difficult, considering how both clubs have been performing the entirety of this season. I just don't think, like, the direction where it's aiming towards. No, I don't have an answer for that either. I just feel that it can go either way. So I'm just putting 0-0 draw, conservative, and who knows, I might get this result absolutely spot on because of how the many ding-dong battles they could have in the game. But yeah, I just don't think there is a team where, at least for this one, where I feel that they're probably going to be on top. That's about it, really, for this one. I don't know where it's going to go, how it's going to go. Right, Fulham Bournemouth. Obviously, confidence of Fulham should be very high coming into this one. Bournemouth with 0-0 draw against Palace, not necessarily what they're looking for, and Fulham at home as well. There are many signs that suggest that, you know, Fulham are going to be, you know, coming to this game again with real intent, with the urge to win the game. And I think one can be said the same about Bournemouth. It's just that maybe the result in the last game hasn't been showing that. But again, Bournemouth has still won 3 of the last 5 games. Fulham have won 2 of the last 5 games. I think it's really neck and neck when it comes to the form book between these two teams. I think it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a really good game of football. I think a lot of people will be looking forward to, especially if they're a neutral fan, and considering, again, the state of play for the both teams at this point in time in the Premier League, where they're still fighting for a lofty position and they know they can fight somehow. They want to do whatever they can to pick up as many points as possible to ensure that this sort of regular season continues. As for me, who I think would stand a better chance, as I said, the ability to create clear-cut chances is probably the first cut for me to decide, or at least to predict how the game's going to go. And my opinion, at least when I compare Fulham and Bournemouth, I feel that Bournemouth stand a better chance to create chances, that, as I said, are threatening and are chances that are really, really good. Whereas Fulham, I think they can't exactly do that on a consistent basis. And as I said, against Chelsea, they only managed to pick up the pace towards the end of the game, and the chances they've created just helped them to get the result over the line. But I think to do that in 90 minutes, I think it's going to be a little bit challenging. Bournemouth have shown they can do that. It's just whether or not they're going to put the ball in the back of the net. But I think, for me at least, my confidence lies in Bournemouth a little bit more. I think Bournemouth are going to win this game by 2-1. And again, as I said, I could be wrong, obviously. But it's just that I feel like when I look at this point in time, I just think that Bournemouth are probably going to get the result. But it might be a draw. It might go Fulham's way. We'll see how. I mean, it's a prediction again, right? Right, West Ham and Liverpool. I mean, this one, what can I say? Liverpool are smashing their opponents left, right, and centre. It's going to be difficult for West Ham, really. I mean, yes, I'm beating their last 4 Premier League games, and now you're going to tell me they're going to expect a result against Liverpool. I would scream if that happens, and I'll be such a happy fan. But I just don't see it happening, really. I think West Ham are going to struggle a lot in this game. I just hope it's just not like an Arsenal where they get smashed by 5 goals in the first half or something like that. But I definitely don't think they're going to contain Liverpool whatsoever. It's another Liverpool game, which I think is pretty straightforward in my eyes. 3-0 win to Liverpool for this one, at least for me. I think the bare minimum is obviously a win for Liverpool. I think no excuses there. Any draw points here, I think I'll be pleasantly surprised, and I will give the credit to West Ham for taking points off Liverpool, and that would have really changed again the Premier League table, how it looks, but maybe not really. I think Liverpool are still pretty up there. I mean, 6 points gap, even if they lose this one, it's just the gap's going to be closed down. So still going to stay top of the Premier League for Liverpool, but I think they might even extend the gap. Really, I'm not too sure about that one, but I think for this one at least, it should be a win for Liverpool. I think West Ham will not be able to put up a fight against them. Right, Ipswich and Chelsea. Now, of course, I think Chelsea would be desperate to get a win again on the board. Ipswich would be, I think, despite being smashed by Arsenal statistically, I think 1-0 maybe would give McKenna a little bit of hope that maybe there's something in this team that can do to try to get an upset against Chelsea, and then playing at home again with the support of the home fans. But again, looking at the quality that Chelsea is possessing in a moment, I think it's going to be really, really difficult for them to come in again and expect, Ipswich to come in and expect them to themselves to be able to somehow take up a fight against Chelsea. But again, Fulham have proven otherwise, and Ipswich could do it again. I mean, that would be a double whammy for Chelsea's perspective. But again, a rather conservative prediction. Essentially, I think 2-1 is a decent result really for Chelsea. I mean, I just don't see how, again, they're going to capitulate 2 games straight. I mean, it could happen. I mean, City have done that multiple times, but I think, again, considering the quality that Chelsea have been forming and showing, I just feel that they should get this over the line against Ipswich. I think if, again, drop points ultimately just mean another negative result, and again, could it be, them starting to have this pressure in the head that, oh my God, we're kind of in a title fight, and because of that, that's sort of putting them too much pressure, and maybe games where you would think that they would enjoy a lot more, rather games they can be a lot more free flow without much pressure because they're not necessarily fighting for the top of the Premier League table, and that will result in the game plan, decision making in the game itself to be different. That is a possibility in my eyes where, again, because the mindset shifting, and I just hope they don't do that. I hope they just look into each game, telling themselves to just want to get 3 points and that's about it. We don't really care about the title. And I think maybe adopting this sort of mindset would actually help them instead to push even further up, And, one could obviously hope, Liverpool would start to become a little bit complacent, and that's how they can obviously start to climb up as well. But I think Chelsea shouldn't see themselves as the title challenging team just yet. I think in terms of mindset, yes, at the current state of play, yes, Chelsea are up there, but you know, we talk about mentally, talking about psychologically, we don't really want teams to put too much pressure on themselves, because that would impede their performance on the pitch and off the pitch as well. And yeah, I think that's the approach that Chelsea should be taking. But yeah, I just feel that they should be getting with this one. Again, any drop points would be a terrible result for them. Right, Villa and Brighton. Now this one, I think Brighton's misery is going to be compounded again. Oh my God, Villa's in 7 Premier League games is going to be a possibility. I think Villa just stand an upper hand, really. And again, yes, I think Brighton will have the opportunity to get goals, will have the opportunity to create good chances to move forward. I just don't think they're going to hold it on for that long, really. And I just don't think they're able to create clear-cut chances. I mean, as I said, you know, the form is against them, and how they played in their last game where they should have won that game. They didn't convert the result. And Villa, we know they can convert results ultimately. Yes, they've got smashed 3-0 against Newcastle, but again, that could also got to do with, you know, that red card that Duran had that changed the complexity of the game, etc. But nonetheless, I think a 3-1 result to Aston Villa is my prediction. I just don't think that Brighton would be able to get a result over the line. But again, I could be proven wrong. Maybe Villa, again, another capitulation, and that would have, again, amounted to their inconsistencies, again, in the Premier League this season. But I just don't think that Villa are going to drop points in this one. And that's my take on that. Right, Manchester United and Newcastle. Now, obviously, Newcastle, the form is in their hands, is going their way massively. Manchester United still struggling, evidently. I don't think there's much to say about this one. I think it's going to continue. And now without Bruno Fernandes, they've got to somehow figure out. I think Rashford should be coming in again in this game. What sort of impact he's going to have, I think it's going to be minimal. Even Anthony, I don't know what's he going to do now. So, but whereas Newcastle, I think they've got this team together. And I think one player they've got to give credit to is Sandro Tonali. Ever since he got back from his ban, he's really changed the landscape of the way Newcastle play, the way that they shape for the games, and the way they attack, the way they defend, how defensively, how offensively they can go. Tonali's really changed the game, and I think that's been missing for them. It's like Rodri at City-ish in terms of impact. I think people are not giving Tonali enough of a credit, where he's come back and he's shown like what he can do. And I think, you know, as long as he continues to play, as long as he continues to not get banned, I think he's going to continue to make this impact. And to me, 2-0 win for Newcastle. I believe in Newcastle to continue to give Manchester United problems, continue to get Amorim problems. But yeah, that's my take on that one, man. I look forward to see what Newcastle can do. I think the hopes are, I wouldn't say expectation, but, you know, high hopes for Newcastle. Alright, to wrap up this one, we've got Brentford and Arsenal to wrap up the last Premier League game of the year of 2024. Brentford, Arsenal. Should I just put in a shock result? I don't think there's much to say about this one. I think on paper, of course, Arsenal should be winning this one. Brentford shouldn't be winning at all. But just for the lols, I'm just going to put a 1-1 draw. You never know what might happen. I think Arsenal, again, they have the ability sometimes to just mess up in a game or two. And Brentford at home, they might stand a chance to be competitive and you know, to be able to get a shock result. So that's my take on that one. But yeah, not really much to say, essentially. I think this one, we just let the game play itself. But of course, I think on paper, Arsenal should be winning this one. Yeah, but that'll be it, guys. Thank you very, very much for watching. I think it will be a very fun one, again, as always. And we'll see how the games are going to be panned out. And we look forward to the new year. And of course, a happy new year to everyone. Hopefully, you guys are going to have a really, really good rest. And I'll see you guys next time. Drop a like on the video if you guys have enjoyed the series thus far. Subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys next time. Until then, goodbye.